Well, in the past few weeks, we've told you about several victims who shot people to protect themselves. Just last week, a clerk at a Virginia Beach 7-Eleven shot a teenage boy who was allegedly trying to rob the store. Blake Richardson showed up at an area hospital later with a gunshot wound. Now there's a new report that says gun sales are surging in Virginia. But gun control advocates say the numbers could be misleading. 10 on your side's Art Kahn has more now.
The statistics used to gauge the number of gun sales in Virginia last year are based on the number of mandatory background checks. State police reported 321,166 gun transactions last year, processing almost 42,000 in the month of December alone. But gun control advocates say these transactions don't necessarily represent sales.
It's background checks. It really tells you very little about sales. For instance, if you're in a situation where you put your money down to buy a gun and a background check comes back negative, you can't purchase that gun.
Josh Horowitz is the executive director of the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence. He says some of the so-called gun transactions have nothing to do with purchasing a new firearm.
There's lots of permit checks. So when people either get a concealed carry permit or when the state checks them on a regular basis, that number comes out, and that's about over 5 million.
Nationally, a record 16.4 million firearms background checks were processed last year, almost 2 million in December alone. Combine that number with the fact that there have been 3 incidents in just the last 11 days in Hampton Roads where private citizens shot the people who tried to rob them, and you have to wonder if there isn't at least the beginning of a trend here.
I think a lot of people have armed themselves to protect themselves. The law has also provided protections for people in their homes.
A little more than a week ago, a man in Virginia Beach shot an intruder in his home and no charges were filed.
If a person's come in with a deadly weapon in an aggressive manner, most people are going to feel like they're in fear of serious bodily harm, and the law entitles them to protect themselves with deadly force.
Now, nationally, the number of criminal background checks conducted for the purpose of buying a gun increased by 2 million last year. Is there a trend here locally? Well, Commonwealth's Attorney Harvey Bryant says he hopes not. He says these things usually come in cycles, but doesn't expect to see a wave of citizens suddenly gunning down criminals, Nicole.
All right, Art, thank you. Gun advocates also say some of the background checks are done on people trying to buy their guns back from a pawn shop, and they don't represent new sales.